Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my channel. I really appreciate it. I am in Minneapolis right now, covering just this awful shooting. The church is up there behind me. The church where almost 20 people were shot this morning during a mass. Most of the people shot were just young children. I'm going to tell you everything that we know, the latest from the police updates today, and also the latest that we know on the shooter. All of that's coming up in this episode of Brian Enton Investigates. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. So I'm here in Minneapolis covering this awful shooting. I was actually in New York anchoring, and then I was flying home to Miami when my boss called and said, can you get to Minneapolis? This was this morning, so I was on my way to Miami, and then when I got to Miami, I just got on another flight and came straight here to Minneapolis. But sadly, it's like we cover a lot of these mass shootings these days, and almost honestly, a lot of people, including myself, sometimes just become desensitized to them. But something about this one just hits differently, I think because it's children, it's little kids, and also because it's in a church. And you just think about these kids, it was their second day of school, they were in mass, and it's just awful to think about. This is actually up behind the tape behind me is the church. The church is right back there. It's the Annunciation Catholic Church here in Minneapolis. The latest numbers at the last press conference here that we were at is 19 victims total. So there are 2 dead children, an 8 and a 10-year-old who were pronounced dead at the scene. So you just have to hope that it was sort of instantaneous for them and they weren't suffering, but they weren't even taken to the hospital. They were pronounced dead at the scene inside the church. They were in the mass. And then there were 14 injured, 14 other children injured, a whole range of ages, a lot of other young kids, up to I think about 15 years old. And the latest that we've heard from police is that all of them are expected to be okay. I mean, the injuries all vary, but they are expected, it's not like any of them are expected not to make it at this point, at least from the latest update from police. So you had 14 other kids, and then there were actually a couple of elderly people in their 80s, I heard, who were also injured and were in the mass. So just terrible. Basically what happened is, and this is the latest that we have, some of this may change, but around 8:30 in the morning, the shooter arrived outside and began shooting in the windows of the church, again, while the mass was going on. There were no shell casings, from what I've been told, inside the church. So it seems like, and this could change tomorrow, but as of tonight, it seems like all of the shots were fired outside the church through the windows, and that they hit the gunman, the shooter, hit the kids through the windows, and also some of the other adult victims who were injured. Something else interesting that they've talked about is the possibility that this may have been premeditated and planned, because some of the doors were boarded up. We haven't heard much more about that, but it's possible that the suspect ahead of time boarded up the doors so that the kids were not able to get out of the church when he started shooting through the window. So that's something we're hoping to find out more about tomorrow, but they did confirm, police, that the doors were boarded up, but why exactly and whether that was something that the suspect did, we're still waiting to confirm. So suspect showed up around 8:30 this morning. According to police, had a rifle, a shotgun, and also a pistol, and used all of the 3 of those weapons in the shooting. So it wasn't like you just used one, used all 3. And they apparently right now are out serving 2 other search warrants here in Minneapolis at residents connected to the shooter, where they have found even more weapons. Whether those necessarily belong to the shooter, we don't know. Were they family members' weapons? We don't know, but we have confirmed that they found more weapons and that they're executing those search warrants at least 2 other residences in Minneapolis. So it was a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. The shooter has been identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman. 23 years old. From what I'm hearing out here, the shooter's mother worked at the church, at least at one point. I don't know if she still worked there. And it's a church, but it's also a school. It's an elementary, a middle, and a high school, from what I understand. And the shooter actually graduated from this school back in 2017. So the shooter has a connection to the school, obviously. And graduated from there. Obviously, probably knew the layout. Probably had been in the church many times where the mass was happening, and knew the layout, knew which windows to go to, and all of that. I'm sure it's going to come out that this was planned. And obviously, there's a manifesto, which I'm going to get to in a second. So, shooter is Robin Westman. Robin Westman. It's a little confusing, but used to go by Robert Westman. Officially changed from Robert to Robin, according to court documents which we have, when the shooter was 17 years old. The mom, I think it was, who had to sign off on it, since at that point Robert was not a adult yet, was still a minor, so the mom had to sign off on it to change the name from Robert to Robin. So graduated from school in 2017. There was this manifesto that was found on YouTube that was posted, I don't know the exact timeline, it may have been yesterday or the day before, that police say they're investigating, that they believe is connected to the shooter. And I watched the video. It was immediately removed from YouTube, but it is still out there. Really disturbing. Just like, the shooter seems psychotic, disturbed. And then there's also like a written manifesto, like a journal type thing, that's several pages long. Again, very disturbing. A lot of the things that he wrote. Stuff about, wrote a message to his family, wrote a message to his friends, basically said that, dealing with depression, and, basically just told people to forget about him, and in a sense apologized for what had happened. But, yeah. And then the other interesting thing is, on the weapons and some of the ammo, there were things that he apparently wrote, which you can see pictures of. Like, for the children is one thing that he wrote: kill Donald Trump, and where is your God? So he had it out for the church for some reason, it seems. My question, which I was just talking to my mom about, is I don't know why you would shoot anybody at all, obviously, but I don't understand why to go after the kids like that, who, whatever beef he had, or the shooter had, I don't know why you would kill innocent kids like that, which again is why I think this is especially tragic when we deal with so many of these mass shootings, and we're sadly desensitized to them. When it's kids like this, it's just so sad. And you think about an 8 and a 10-year-old dead and what their parents are going through tonight. And we were just over by the Family Reunification Center, where all of these, today, all of these parents showing up. You can imagine all the parents who had kids in school. Imagine getting that phone call saying, from someone I saw on the news, there's a shooting like this inside the church at your kid's school. So many parents were relieved to be picking up their kids. And then you just think about the parents who found out that their kids didn't make it, and then all the parents who are in the hospital tonight as their kids continue to recover. So it's really sad out here. There's actually a candlelight vigil going on right now. One of my producers is over there. I'm going to be here. I'm obviously covering this for News Nation also. So you can check out my reports there. And tomorrow, we're going to dig in, try to learn more, obviously, about the victims, what went on. I mean, there was one interview that I saw with a young boy, like 10 years old, who was saying how one of the kids right near him got shot, and he saw his friend get shot, and he was hoping that his friend was okay. So these kids are going to be, it's traumatic what they went through. They're going to need help getting through this. So anyway, tomorrow we'll look into that. We'll look into how the surviving victims are doing, and then also try to learn more about the shooter and what may have led the person to do this. And you think about the fact that the mom worked at the church, probably knew a lot of the people still that worked here, knew the families. So it's a complicated, tragic situation. But hopefully I'll get more new info for you guys tomorrow. And I'm going to get some sleep later tonight so that I can hit the ground running tomorrow. And I will keep you posted on the latest from Minneapolis. This is the tragedy that happened here at the church. behind me. You can see people are sort of starting to show up. Again, there was a vigil earlier, and then people even just coming and leaving flowers right here outside the crime scene tape. And then I saw, even on one of the police cars, and you can tell the police are like in a state of shock too. On one of the police cars, someone had just left a big bouquet of flowers. So community's really suffering here. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.